I think most of you know me. I'm Ken, Bob's eldest son. I'll be brief. Somewhere in my youth and formative years, which included 16 years of Catholic education, I became rather enamored of St. Paul. I thought he was a pretty sharp guy. And there is a famous verse in his second letter to Timothy that he wrote during the end of his life that you've all heard in church on Sunday. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. In the last few days, I've kind of reviewed that verse against my dad's life as I knew it. A few items in there. Robert Joseph Jehling grew up one of 7 children in the teeth of the Great Depression. That was a depression without food stamps, Social Security, and workman's comp. That was a tough time. He was never resentful, however, of that beginning that I could tell, and he never regarded material wealth as the ultimate goal in life. He was married 67 years, took a lot of Wiesmann, through thick and thin. Just like he said he was going to do the day he got married. We have 5 children, we have 18 grandchildren, we have 12 great-grandchildren. His children were all college educated and were successfully raised during a very difficult time in the 60s and 70s. Some of you younger folks won't remember that, but that was the time when the baby boom generation, of which I am one, was all over the place in terms of philosophy and ideas and thoughts and values. Not Bob and Coletta's kids. We are all here today with our children and our children's children living the values and the morals of the Catholic faith. The other thing I think that was important during that raising was the Jehling kids learned how to put in a pretty good hard day's work and get up early the next morning and go hit it again. Raising kids in that time was tough. I thought Pop did a pretty good job. He began his career loading steel off a flat car in North St. Louis and ended it as an Emerson Electric manufacturing executive. He was an excellent provider. One of the things I always admired about my dad was that nobody ever had to guess what Bob Jehling thought or said. In this day of spin and rollback and verbal dancing to fit the situation, it was always refreshing to me to hear his queer dictums. He was clear, concise, and above all brief. I used to kid him when I got a little older. Pop, you spend words like they were $1,000 banknotes. And I'd get one of these Bob Jehling glasses down, disapproving looks over the top. Sometimes when we were small at home, and there were 5 pretty rough and tumble kids at home, we would be the beneficiary of some of his remarks when we were smaller, followed by punctuation. Sometimes if he was really irritated, you got the punctuation without the remarks. But never without cause. As his child, you grew up, you knew if you did good, you got an attaboy. If you didn't try hard enough, you got one of those disapproving looks. And if you just got beat by something or somebody, you got help and encouragement. None of this was done in a sentimental way, but you knew the love was unconditional. You would never confuse my dad with a shrinking violet. He grew up and lived in a pretty competitive and tough world. If you got in his face, you did that at your peril. But he was not unforgiving. One of his favorite phrases I'll remember, well, tomorrow is another day, let's get after it, win, lose, or draw. He had a passion for fairness and honorable behavior, and he was a man's man. What's a man's man? Well, in my book, it's somebody who does what he says he's going to do every time. You can take that to the bank. Now, about this keeping the faith business in the phrase, in the verse, I have always believed that people who are fortunate enough to receive the last rites before they die are especially blessed by the Almighty. That's a gift. Pop received them Monday. He left this world in the faith he kept all his life. I think St. Paul will approve of my dad. I do. Pop, you did a good job. You did a real good job.